Before Europe ever saw the light of the Renaissance, before the word Spain even existed, a man stood at the edge of the world, staring into an ocean that whispered impossible. He had no army of millions, no wealth, no promises of return, just faith, fire, and 40 wooden ships. His name was Tariq Bin Ziyad. The year was 711. The once mighty Roman Empire had collapsed into dust, and Europe was drowning in darkness. The sun said that it was a big machine, and who had gone to the moon and back, and walked in the dead. Kings ruled like gods, peasants lived like slaves, and faith, true faith, had been buried under gold and greed. But far across the deserts, in the golden city of Damascus, the Umayyad Caliphate still burned with purpose. Their mission was not conquest, it was justice. Not domination, but deliverance. And when the time came to cross into the unknown, they chose a young Berber commander, a man whose courage would become legend. Tariq's destination was Andalus, the land beyond the sea, a land so vast and strange that many believed it marked the very edge of the earth. He gathered his men, just 7,000 warriors. Before them stood an empire 10 times greater. Behind them, an endless sea. And as they reached the shores, Tariq saw something in his men's eyes. Not weakness, but hesitation. The kind of silence that comes when fear meets faith. And then, he did something that changed the course of history. He gave an order that no general had ever given before. He burned the ships. Flames roared into the sky. Smoke swallowed the horizon, and his soldiers gasped. Their only path home was gone. Tariq stood before them, his voice echoing through the wind. Greater than my brothers, behind you is the sea, before you is the enemy. By Allah, there is no way back, except through victory. That night, courage was reborn. They had no escape, no retreat, no choice but to win. And with every heartbeat, every sword raised, they marched into destiny. When battle came, it was like thunder on the hills of Andalus. 7,000 believers stood against tens of thousands. But faith does not count numbers. They fought with a fire the world had never seen. The cry of Allahu Akbar rolled through the valleys, and when the dust settled, mighty King Roderick lay defeated. Europe had just met Tariq Bin Ziyad, and then came something even more powerful than victory: mercy. The Muslims didn't destroy Andalus, they rebuilt it. From ashes, they raised Cordoba, Granada, and Seville, cities that would shine brighter than any in Europe. Where others built castles of war, Muslims built libraries, universities, hospitals, and mosques. Where others silenced ideas, they translated, taught, and shared knowledge. As the rest of Europe sank in superstition, Muslim Cordoba had street lights, running water, and books, millions of them. For nearly 8 centuries, Andalus became the beating heart of knowledge, a place where Jews, Christians, and Muslims learned side by side. But time is merciless, and success is a silent killer. When unity faded, arrogance grew. brothers turned swords on each other. The same light that had guided the world began to flicker, and won the torch to the mountain, and the tumult of sin began to flicker, and the tools of the sun began to flicker, and one the tools of the sun began to flicker. One by one the cities fell, the libraries were burned, the scholars were silenced, and the echoes of Allahu Akbar faded from the hills of Andalus. Yet the flame Tariq lit that day on the shore never truly died, because his story wasn't about conquest. It was about conviction, about believing in something so completely that you burn every bridge behind you and walk forward anyway. He taught the world that faith isn't just hope, it's fire, it's surrender, it's the courage to say, greater than, even if the sea is behind me and the world stands against me, I will still march because my trust is in Allah. Tariq Bin Ziyad, the man who burned his ships and his fears, a name written not in ink but in fire and faith.